Space was supposed to be quiet. At least, that's what Eli Carter thought when he took his dog, Charlie, out for a walk under the clear night sky. The air was crisp, and the moon hung lazily above the rolling fields just outside of town. Charlie, a shaggy mutt with mismatched ears and a stubborn streak, trotted ahead, nose glued to the ground, as if trying to solve the world's most pressing mystery. Eli adjusted his jacket and sighed. "You really gotta sniff every blade of grass, buddy?" Charlie gave a non-committal snort, continuing his dedicated investigation of the ground. That's when the light appeared. Bright, blinding, and descending from the sky like a falling star. Eli barely had time to shield his eyes before a metallic hum filled the air, making his teeth vibrate. Charlie froze mid-sniff, ears perked, and let out a low, confused growl. Before Eli could process what was happening, he felt the ground lurch beneath him. He barely had time to shout, "What the?" before both he and Charlie were yanked upward in a beam of light. Eli groaned, blinking against the harsh blue light flooding his vision. His head throbbed, and his mouth tasted like copper and regret. He tried to move, but metal restraints held his arms to the sides of a cold, curved chair. The room was sleek, almost sterile, with humming consoles and flickering lights lining the walls. His heart raced as 3 aliens stood in front of him, tall, lanky figures with pale blue skin, multiple eyes arranged in triangular patterns, and elongated limbs that looked too flexible to be natural. One of them, the one with golden markings on his forehead, stepped forward, speaking in a language that sounded like a mix between chirping and static interference. Guys," Eli croaked. "Little help here?" The aliens exchanged glances, clearly annoyed at his lack of comprehension. Just then, a familiar sound broke the tension, a sharp bark. Eli's head snapped to the side to see Charlie, unharmed and standing on a smooth metal platform, looking thoroughly unimpressed. "Charlie," Eli called out, relief flooding his voice. "You okay, buddy?" Charlie gave a low woof, then glanced at the aliens with a look that could only be described as annoyed disdain. One of the aliens made a sharp clicking noise, and suddenly a thin metallic device floated toward Charlie, scanning him with a green light. Eli tried to move again. "Hey, leave him alone!" The alien with the golden mark clicked at him in annoyance, waving a thin tendril in his direction. But before the alien could approach Charlie, something unexpected happened. "Mind not pointing that at me, you overgrown glow stick." The room went dead silent. Eli's jaw dropped. The aliens froze. Charlie sat on his haunches, looking bored. One of the aliens made a confused chirping sound, and another whispered something that sounded like, "What the hell?" in their language. Eli stared at his dog. Did you just talk?" Charlie gave him an exasperated look. "Yes. And you really think now is the time to be freaking out about it?" Eli's brain went into shutdown mode. Charlie talked, not just any talking, fluent, sarcastic English. One of the aliens tried to approach Charlie with a scanning device again, but Charlie barked sharply, making them flinch. "Keep your suction cup hands off me, buddy," Charlie snapped. "I don't need whatever weird probing device that is. Seriously, personal space." The alien with the golden mark hissed and said something in their language, clearly confused and annoyed. Charlie snorted. "Your grammar is atrocious," he muttered. "It's your weapon protocols are malfunctioning, not weapon protocols malfunction." "Gods, you sound like an idiot." The alien blinked all 6 of its eyes. Eli was trying to process reality at this point. "Charlie, what the hell is going on? You can talk?" Charlie gave him a side-eye. "Well, yeah, just didn't seem necessary until now. You're not exactly a conversational genius, Eli." Eli spluttered. You, since when?" Charlie huffed. "Since always. You never asked. Plus, your vocabulary is pretty limited to good boy, and stop eating that." Eli wasn't sure whether to be insulted or impressed. One of the aliens finally snapped out of his stupor and jabbered rapidly, pointing at Charlie. Charlie sighed dramatically. "Oh, great. Now he's blaming me for their own incompetence," he muttered. Then he raised his head and barked a series of sharp, precise sounds that sounded remarkably similar to the alien language. The aliens immediately went silent again, now looking at Charlie with a mix of fear and respect. Eli squinted. "Did you just speak their language?" Charlie licked his paw nonchalantly. "Of course I did. It's not hard. Their syntax is like a toddler trying to sound important." The aliens exchanged frantic, chirping arguments before one of them bowed slightly toward Charlie, seemingly offering a conciliatory gesture. Charlie snorted. About time. Apology accepted. Eli leaned forward as much as his restraints allowed. "Are they afraid of you now?" Charlie gave a tooth-baring grin. "Oh, definitely. Turns out they've never met a species that can understand and correct them." The lead alien finally gathered his courage and spoke again, this time much more respectfully. Charlie raised a brow. "That's better. Now here's what's going to happen. You're going to release us immediately and return us to Earth. I'd also suggest offering a gift as compensation for the inconvenience." Eli stared, dumbfounded, as the aliens frantically nodded and started deactivating the restraints. "Charlie," Eli whispered, How are you doing this?" Charlie gave him a look of mild exasperation. "Did you really think I was just some dumb dog? You never noticed me barking in complex patterns when squirrels approached. It's coded warnings, Eli. Keep up." Eli just gaped. By the time the restraints were released and the aliens were practically begging Charlie to accept their apologies, Eli had finally managed to string together a coherent thought. "So, do all dogs talk?" Charlie shrugged. "Some. Most don't bother. Too busy sniffing butts. Honestly, you humans don't listen even when we do talk. I just figured it was easier to play the part." Eli stared at his dog, utterly bewildered. Meanwhile, Charlie looked at the now subservient aliens and gave a final huff. "Now hurry up and take us home, and don't even think about trying this again, or I'll teach your captain proper syntax the hard way." The aliens scrambled to comply, clearly terrified of the snarky talking dog. Eli just sighed. "I guess we're going home?" Charlie snorted. "Damn right we are. And when we get back, you owe me a steak." Eli sat cross-legged on the cold metal floor of the alien ship, still trying to process reality. His dog was talking. His dog was negotiating with aliens in their own language, giving them a grammar lesson while at it. Charlie paced in front of the three terrified aliens, giving them a disapproving glare every now and then. They had all but flattened themselves against the wall, their elongated limbs trembling as Charlie growled out instructions in their chirping, static-infused language. One of the aliens, the one with golden markings on his forehead, hesitantly reached for a holographic control panel to initiate the return sequence. Charlie snorted. "Don't push that button, moron," he snapped. "That'll engage the containment field. You want the auto-navigation, 2 panels to the left." The alien yelped in panic and quickly moved to the correct panel, glancing at Charlie like he was some kind of demonic overseer. Eli finally managed to speak. "Charlie, how the hell are you fluent in alien?" Charlie glanced back at him, looking annoyed and a bit smug. "It's not that hard, Eli," he replied. "They've been broadcasting their language on low-frequency signals ever since they got here. I picked it up while you were busy getting abducted." Eli blinked. "You can understand radio signals?" Charlie huffed. "Of course. Dogs have incredible hearing. You never noticed me barking in patterns? I've been trying to teach you Morse code for months." Eli's brain was melting. "So, you're telling me you've been secretly fluent in alien languages and intelligent enough to learn them from ambient signals, and you never thought to mention it?" Charlie tilted his head, his expression one of pure canine indifference. "I didn't think you needed to know," he replied. "Plus, it's not like you were going to chat with extraterrestrials on your morning jog." One of the aliens cautiously approached Charlie, his tentacled fingers trembling. He made a series of soft clicking sounds, and Charlie sighed. "He's asking if I'm going to report them to the Intergalactic Council," Charlie translated, rolling his eyes. Eli just stared. "The what now?" Charlie didn't answer, instead turning back to the alien and barking out a rapid string of chirps and growls. The alien bowed its head and murmured a response. "They're offering compensation," Charlie explained, looking back at Eli. "Apparently, abducting a sentient species and their guardian violates about 8 treaties. They're afraid I'll report them to some galactic authority." Eli squinted. "You mean they think you're the guardian?" Charlie grinned. "Yep, you're my pet, apparently." Eli groaned. "You're kidding me." Charlie barked a sharp laugh. "Don't blame me. You're the one that needed rescuing." The alien with the golden marking spoke again, this time with a cautious and respectful tone. Charlie listened, then nodded. "All right, here's how this is going to go," he announced in both alien and English, just to rub it in. "You're going to take us back to where you found us. You're also going to provide compensation for the inconvenience, preferably something valuable that doesn't involve plasma burns or invasive surgery." The alien stammered in its own language, but Charlie interrupted. "Oh, and you're going to send a formal apology to the Terran government for unauthorized abduction. Make it sound sincere, or I'll write it myself, and include some very colorful critiques of your spelling." The aliens frantically nodded, clearly eager to comply. Eli raised a hand. "Wait, hold on. You're making them apologize to Earth." Charlie gave him a look of pity. "Of course. You think I'm letting these glow-stick rejects get away with kidnapping us? Gotta make sure they know not to mess with humans, or their guardians." Eli rubbed his temple. "Guardians. Right." One of the aliens produced a small, glowing orb and handed it to Charlie with reverent caution. Charlie inspected it with a sniff, then glanced at Eli. "Quantum data crystal," he explained. "Contains navigational coordinates and mineral scans of rare deposits in 3 star systems, probably worth a small fortune." Eli blinked. "They're giving us space treasure?" Charlie nodded. "Yeah, but it's mostly to make me not rat them out to the council." One of the aliens tried to speak again, his voice trembling with fear. Charlie gave him a firm bark and switched back to their language, apparently giving them a pep talk about protocol and interspecies relations. When he was done, the alien bowed low and started programming the return coordinates. Charlie shot Eli a sideways glance. "Honestly, they're not the brightest bunch. One of them keeps conjugating his verbs wrong. I'd be embarrassed if I were them." A few minutes later, Eli and Charlie found themselves deposited back on the field where they'd been taken, the beam of light depositing them gently onto the ground. The spaceship vanished into the sky, leaving Eli to stare at his dog with a mixture of awe and betrayal. "So, you've been secretly intelligent and multilingual this whole time?" Charlie scratched behind his ear. "Yeah, you just never asked the right questions." Eli opened his mouth, closed it, and then shook his head. "Why the hell didn't you ever tell me?" Charlie snorted. "You were more concerned about how I chewed up your shoes. Priorities, man." A thought struck Eli. "Wait, can other dogs do this?" Charlie shrugged. "Some can. Most just don't care enough to bother. Also cats. They know more than they let on. Keep an eye on Mittens down the street. She's been teaching the crows Morse code." Eli had to sit down on the grass, his head spinning. "I think I need a drink." Charlie gave a satisfied woof. "Good call. Make it whiskey. I'll take mine with a raw steak on the side." Meanwhile, far out in space, the abductor ship sent out a priority message to its homeworld. "Warning, Terran Guardian species detected. Exhibits linguistic mastery and advanced negotiation tactics. Recommend avoiding further interactions with Earth entities. Current threat level, unpredictable." The galactic community received the message, and many species quietly updated their diplomatic protocols concerning Earth. It became common practice to double-check any reports of Terran Guardian species. No one wanted to encounter another talking Earth animal, especially one that could negotiate terms and correct their grammar. Eli was having a hard time coming to terms with reality. Charlie, his loyal mutt of indeterminate breed and questionable hygiene habits, was now internationally famous as a linguistic prodigy and interstellar diplomat. They had been back on Earth for barely a day when people started showing up. It started with the press, local reporters showing up at his door with notepads and cameras, eager to interview the talking dog. Then it escalated to scientists and linguists, armed with recording devices and analyzers, begging Charlie to say something profound. Charlie, naturally, was unimpressed. "You all realize I'm just a dog, right?" he muttered, lapping water from his bowl while the experts took frantic notes. Eli sipped his coffee, completely exhausted. He couldn't even walk Charlie around the block without being swarmed by people asking if the dog could recite Shakespeare or do math. Charlie mostly responded with sarcastic remarks or pointed silence. While Earth was still processing the revelation of a talking dog, the galactic community was in full-blown panic mode. Reports of the abduction incident had leaked to several alien news networks, and the story rapidly spread across the galaxy. The headline on one of the most popular alien networks read, "Terran Guardian revealed, Canine Ambassador negotiates with abductors." The story included blurred surveillance footage from the alien ship, Charlie barking commands in flawless syntax while the aliens scrambled to obey. High Chancellor Rylock of the Zelnath Coalition watched the footage with a deepening frown, his bioluminescent tendrils twitching nervously. "What? What does this mean?" he whispered to his aide. The aide, equally unsettled, glanced at the report. "Sir, it seems that Terran Guardian species possess linguistic capabilities and advanced negotiation tactics. They may be significantly more intelligent than previously assessed." Rylock wiped his brow with one of his tendrils, his voice trembling. "If their guardians are this intelligent, what must their humans be like?" The aide swallowed nervously. We have no data on that." Within days, the Galactic Senate convened an emergency session to discuss the implications. Delegates from dozens of species argued back and forth, some insisting that humanity needed to be reclassified as a priority intelligence risk, while others advocated for immediate diplomatic outreach. High Speaker Tirvak, an ancient reptilian being with silver scales, called the room to order. "Enough!" he bellowed. "We are not here to panic. We are here to assess." The Vlethan ambassador, still sour from the failed sabotage of the Phoenix Array, leaned forward. "High Speaker, this new revelation changes everything. If Terran Guardians are capable of language and negotiation, how can we possibly assess the true capabilities of their primary species?" Tirvak grunted. "What is our current classification of Terran intelligence?" One of the analysts pulled up a holographic display. Level 3, Adaptive Problem Solvers, known for rapid technological advancement and unpredictable behavior. The council murmured among themselves. The Zelnath representative cleared his throat. "With respect, we may need to reassess. Their guardians exhibit Level 5 traits, advanced communication and cultural diplomacy. We have no idea how much of their society relies on these guardian entities." Tirvak stroked his chin thoughtfully. "Are you suggesting that dogs may be the true rulers of Earth?" The chamber fell into stunned silence as everyone pondered the disturbing possibility. Eli was doing his best to ignore the intergalactic insanity while dealing with the domestic chaos of suddenly owning a celebrity dog. Charlie lounged on the couch, flipping through TV channels with his nose, while Eli scrolled through his phone. The latest social media post read, "Charlie, the dog is an alien ambassador now. Can he teach my dog how to do taxes?" Eli groaned. "You know, this is all your fault." Charlie glanced over, unimpressed. "Maybe, but it's not my fault you can't keep up." Eli threw a pillow at him, which Charlie dodged effortlessly. The phone rang, and Eli hesitated before answering. It was the Pentagon. Again. "Yeah?" a gruff voice came through. "Mr. Carter, we'd like to speak with Charlie regarding intergalactic diplomatic relations." Eli squinted. "Are you seriously trying to hire my dog as a diplomat?" The voice hesitated. "We might consider it." Eli glanced at Charlie. "They want you to be a diplomat." Charlie snorted. "Tell them I'll do it if they send me a crate of steak and stop calling at nap time." Eli relayed the message. There was a long pause on the other end before the voice responded. Understood. As if the chaos wasn't bad enough, more stories started pouring in. People from all over the world were reporting that their dogs had started talking. A Great Dane in France was lecturing a professor on quantum theory. A beagle in Japan was translating news broadcasts into 3 languages. A Chihuahua in Mexico was organizing a local protest against leash laws. The world went nuts. People were demanding explanations from scientists, while others insisted that it was just a coordinated prank. Charlie watched the news with mild interest. Idiots. Took them long enough to start talking. Eli sighed. Are you saying dogs always knew how to talk? Charlie shrugged. Some of us. Most didn't care. It's a hassle. But once one dog does it, the rest start thinking, why not? Now we've got dogs quoting Shakespeare and running for city council. Eli buried his face in his hands. This is too much. In the Galactic Senate, the High Speaker finally made a decision. Until we have concrete data on the true nature of Terran intelligence, all interactions with Earth are to be carefully monitored. No further abductions or invasive research will be authorized. We cannot risk provoking a species with multi-tiered linguistic abilities and unpredictable socio-political dynamics. One of the councillors whispered, "What if their guardians are training their primary species for conquest?" The speaker shuddered. "Then we must tread cautiously. We cannot afford to provoke them." The news reports continued. Dogs of Earth now talking worldwide. Terran guardian species exhibit unexpected intelligence. Alien diplomats request audience with Charlie the dog. Meanwhile, Charlie just wanted his steak dinner and some peace and quiet. Eli glanced at his dog, shaking his head. "How long do you think this is going to last?" Charlie just yawned. "Until they find something else to freak out about. Humans are fickle." Eli couldn't argue with that. The world had changed overnight. Dogs were talking. Not just a few, but thousands, all over the globe. Videos surfaced of Labradors quoting poetry, pit bulls discussing philosophy, and Shih Tzus complaining about the food quality at local dog parks. It was chaos. The news channels had lost control, and social media was flooded with #TalkingDogs and #DogDiplomats trending worldwide. Meanwhile, Charlie, the first and most sarcastic of the talking dogs, was sprawled on the couch, gnawing on a chew toy shaped like a steak. Eli just stared at him, shaking his head. "You realize you've basically upended civilization, right?" Charlie didn't even look up. "Humans did that long before I said anything. I just gave them something new to whine about." Eli sighed. "Well, you've definitely made yourself famous. People are saying you're the smartest dog alive." Charlie paused mid-chew. "That's not true. Daisy from down the street can calculate launch trajectories. She just doesn't bother because she's busy herding squirrels." Eli's brain gave up trying to understand. Of course, why not? Things took an even stranger turn when a galactic diplomatic vessel landed on the outskirts of town. A small platoon of alien delegates cautiously approached Eli's house, led by Ambassador Klyrek of the Vlethan Coalition, one of the species previously involved in the sabotage of the Phoenix Array. Klyrek was a tall, crystalline being with iridescent tendrils, and he seemed oddly nervous. Eli glanced at the procession through his front window and nudged Charlie. "We've got company." Charlie didn't even bother looking up. "If they're not bringing snacks, I'm not interested." Eli rolled his eyes and opened the door, stepping outside. Klyrek gave a deep bow, his voice humming with a low vibration. "Greetings, Terran human. We request an audience with the one known as Charlie." Eli raised an eyebrow. "You came to talk to my dog?" Klyrek hesitated, clearly uncomfortable. "It is necessary. He is recognized as a guardian and a diplomatic authority." Eli didn't even bother holding back the laugh. "Sure, let me get him. You guys want some water or something?" The aliens all stared at him blankly. "Never mind," Eli muttered. "Wait here." He went back inside and gave Charlie a nudge. "You've got alien diplomats at the door. They want to talk to you. Charlie huffed. Of course they do. Can't even get a nap around here. Charlie strolled out onto the porch, sitting down with effortless authority. Clyrek cleared his throat and bowed. Guardian Charlie, we humbly request your guidance. Charlie yawned. What's the issue this time? You here to apologize for trying to blow up the star we fixed? Or are you just here to take notes on how to be competent? Clyrek's tendrils shivered in discomfort. Our leadership would like to extend formal apologies for the sabotage incident and wish to discuss potential cooperation with Terran Guardian entities. Charlie gave him a flat stare. You realize I don't represent the entire planet, right? I'm just a dog. Well, a particularly brilliant one, but still a dog. The alien looked genuinely distressed. Are there other Guardian entities we should be addressing? Charlie snorted. Most dogs couldn't care less about your galactic politics. You're lucky I'm even talking to you. Cats, though. They've been planning galactic domination since the Egyptians built their first pyramid. Clyrek looked alarmed, and his aide whispered something urgent in his ear. Eli had to stifle a laugh. You're not really telling them cats are going to take over the galaxy, are you? Charlie gave him a look. Am I lying? Eli had no response. The aliens finally composed themselves enough to make their proposal. Clyrek stepped forward, his posture as respectful as possible. Guardian Charlie, the Vlethan Coalition would like to offer cooperation and mutual support between our species. We wish to learn from your advanced linguistic capabilities and interspecies communication skills. Charlie gave a mock-serious nod. Sounds reasonable, as long as you agree to never abduct another human or dog without permission. The aliens hastily agreed. Charlie continued, and while you're at it, issue a formal statement recognizing Earth as an independent and autonomous system not to be tampered with. Also, send over some of those glowing rock things. They make good chew toys. The aliens looked confused, but one of them nodded and took notes. It shall be done, Guardian. When news broke that Charlie had negotiated a peace treaty with the Vlethan Coalition, Earth collectively lost its mind again. Diplomats were scrambling to figure out how to make Charlie an official ambassador, while governments argued over whether dogs should be granted official political status. The United Nations even hosted a live broadcast where Charlie appeared via video feed. He seemed bored and unimpressed, giving monosyllabic answers while munching on a steak. One of the journalists asked, Mr. Charlie, do you consider yourself a representative of Earth? Charlie just stared at the camera. I'm a dog. I consider myself a representative of steak and belly rubs. Everything else is a secondary concern. While humanity was busy figuring out how to deal with their new dog diplomat, the galaxy was scrambling to interpret the implications. The Galactic Council issued a statement expressing cautious optimism, while more paranoid factions worried that dogs might be secretly controlling Earth. The Zelnath Chancellor convened an emergency meeting to discuss defensive strategies in case Earth's canine diplomats began asserting dominance. Alien scientists argued over whether other Earth animals might also possess advanced intelligence, but had simply chosen not to reveal it. A Zelnath military strategist nervously muttered, If dogs are this capable, what about the cats? Back at home, Eli had finally adjusted to the bizarre new status quo. Charlie was now officially recognized as a diplomatic consultant, complete with his own ID card and a line of branded merchandise. Eli poured himself a drink and sat next to Charlie on the porch, watching the sunset. Think things will ever go back to normal? Eli asked. Charlie snorted. Normal's boring. Besides, now that the galaxy knows I'm brilliant, it's only a matter of time before someone tries to recruit me for space politics. Eli took a sip. You'd hate that. Charlie gave a lazy wag of his tail. You're right. Too much paperwork. Plus, none of them can grill a steak properly. They sat in companionable silence, knowing that Earth, and possibly the galaxy, would never be the same again. Things had barely settled down on Earth before the next wave of interstellar chaos hit. Charlie, now officially recognized as an intergalactic diplomat, was lounging on the porch, gnawing on his new favorite quantum chew toy that one of the alien ambassadors had sent over. Eli was scrolling through news feeds, every headline still dominated by talking dogs and galactic treaties. A message alert popped up on his phone. He squinted at it. Urgent. Galactic Council requests Charlie's presence at the Intergalactic Unity Summit on Celesta 9. Transportation provided. RSVP immediately. Eli looked over at Charlie. They're inviting you to some big galactic summit. You want to go? Charlie spat out the chew toy and sighed. Can I say no? Eli shrugged. They're calling you an ambassador now. I guess it's part of the job. Charlie huffed. Fine, but I'm bringing snacks. I don't trust alien cuisine. The Celesta 9 Unity Summit was held on a planet renowned for its stunning crystalline architecture and floating gardens. Charlie and Eli were greeted by a team of Galactic Council delegates who looked both nervous and intrigued by the arrival of the Terran Guardian. The Zelnath ambassador, an imposing figure with glimmering scales, bowed low. Welcome, Guardian Charlie. We are honored by your presence. Charlie flicked his ears. Yeah. You got any snacks? The ambassador hesitated, then gestured to a floating tray piled with alien delicacies, most of which looked like glowing cubes and squirming tentacles. Charlie wrinkled his nose. I meant real food. You know, meat. The ambassador glanced around, looking flustered, and hastily whispered to an aide to procure something suitable. The main conference chamber was massive, filled with delegates from hundreds of species, all seated in elevated platforms that floated around a central podium. Charlie sat dead center on a plush, gilded cushion, looking profoundly unimpressed. Eli, seated next to him, couldn't help but smirk. You look like a king, Charlie yawned. They better have bacon in the after-party. The high speaker, a towering insectoid being with shimmering wings, called the summit to order. We are gathered to discuss the implications of Terran Guardian intelligence and intergalactic relations moving forward. To that end, we wish to hear from the representative of Earth, Guardian Charlie. Charlie didn't bother getting up, just gave a lazy look around the chamber. First off, quit calling me Guardian. I'm a dog. My job is to eat, sleep, and occasionally chase squirrels. I didn't sign up for politics. The chamber fell silent, delegates exchanging confused looks. One of the more skeptical councillors, a crystalline Vlethan, spoke up. Then why are you here? Is this not an acknowledgement of your diplomatic status? Charlie shot him a look. Buddy, I'm here because you keep dragging me into your mess. You kidnapped me, tried to blow up a star, and now you're worried because I can talk. Maybe stop screwing up, and I won't have to fix your problems. Eli snorted, trying not to laugh. One of the Luxarian ambassadors, a species known for their love of luxury and indulgence, approached, trying a different tactic. Guardian Charlie, we would like to offer you a position as the official galactic liaison for Terra, complete with a luxury space cruiser and a personal chef to cater to your every meal. Charlie raised an eyebrow. What's the catch? The ambassador hesitated. Just a small favor, convincing your human government to adopt a more collaborative approach to resource distribution. Charlie barked a laugh. Yeah, no, that's not how this works. You're trying to buy me off, and I'm not that cheap. Besides, I don't eat space goo. The Luxarian ambassador looked crestfallen. Another delegate, from the Rylith consortium, stepped forward, clearly desperate to regain control of the situation. What would it take to secure your favor, Guardian? We are prepared to offer substantial galactic credits and influence. Charlie just stared at him. Look, genius, I'm a dog. I don't care about credits or politics. You want me to give Earth a good word? Just stop being idiots. Stop abducting people, quit blowing up stars, and learn some basic manners. The chamber was dead silent. One of the alien leaders whispered, Did we just get lectured by a dog? Suddenly, the chamber doors slammed open, and a group of heavily armored mercenaries burst in, led by a grizzled alien with scars across his snout. Enough talk. The Guardian is coming with us. We'll use him to force Earth's submission. Before anyone could react, Charlie was already on his feet, growling. The mercenary leader sneered. "What's the mutt gonna do? Bark us to death?" Charlie smirked. "No, but I might just embarrass you into submission." Without warning, he let out a series of complex barks and growls, and the mercenaries froze, looking horrified. The leader dropped his weapon, trembling. You know the forbidden tongue. That's impossible," Charlie huffed. "Didn't know you had a secret language. Not so secret now, is it? Want to keep pushing your luck, or should I tell everyone what you just admitted to?" The mercenaries stared at each other, panicked, before scattering like terrified ants. Once order was restored, the High Speaker approached Charlie, looking deeply impressed. "You have single-handedly averted a crisis, Guardian Charlie. Your wisdom and negotiation skills are unparalleled." Charlie just snorted. "I just yelled at them in their own language. If you people actually listened to each other once in a while, you wouldn't need a dog to solve your problems." The High Speaker hesitated, then bowed. "Your advice is noted." Back on Earth, Eli and Charlie finally settled back on the porch, watching the sunset. "You know you're basically a galactic legend now, right?" Eli asked. Charlie just grunted. "Great. I'll put it on my resume." Eli glanced over. "You really never thought about telling me you could talk before all this, huh?" Charlie tilted his head. "You never asked. Plus, you can barely manage your own life. Didn't think you needed the extra stress." Eli groaned. "Fair point." Back on Celesta 9, the Galactic Council issued a formal decree. Henceforth, Earth and its guardian entities are to be approached with caution and respect. Unauthorized abductions are strictly prohibited. Attempts to manipulate Guardian Charlie will be met with diplomatic consequences. Charlie's legend spread across the galaxy as countless species whispered in fear and respect about the dog who defied captors, corrected grammar, and single-handedly negotiated peace treaties. And as for Charlie, he just wanted another steak and a good nap.